Hello, everybody, and welcome back to
another
podcast called
A Couple
of
Lizzie and Chris.
No,
The answer is creative. I was just having fun. Welcome to an episode of Couple of Creatives. That was Zed and S. Gonna ruin the SEO of this podcast. Welcome back, everybody. Today we are talking about dealing with people
who just don't get it.
Who just don't get what you do.
Pesky don't getters.
And kind of covers a few pesky don't getters.
We just recorded a very serious podcast right before this. And now in that podcast, I was drinking coffee. And now because it's a couple of hours later, we're now drinking wine. So this one's going to be way more fun.
Yeah. Welcome to the way more fun version of the podcast. It's going to get lit. No, people don't say that anymore, do they? We should stay on track. So one of the things that I found is that number one, the first obstacle that you're going to start convincing people is going to be your close friends and your family. And you're like, the first thing that you're usually going to go through is like, hey, I'm interested in music or painting or making videos or making songs. And people will be like, that's amazing. You should definitely pursue this as a hobby.
They're like, that's cute. It's so pretty. But like, what are you going to do to make money though?
Which is already like a weird part to start framing the conversation. Because I'll say it here, and I'm a firm believer of making this like a public thing. Anybody can make a living off of their craft if you're smart and make the right decisions and you have a decent business sense. Because ultimately you can be very talented, and if you can wrap that with some business knowledge, you can be successful. So for anybody that's listening here that thinks, oh, I'd love to do that one day,
but
yes,
I'm not like the best photographer. I'm not the best video editor. Yes. I'm not the best. And first of all, you're always going to find that someone's better than you. So just always
There's
know
so
that.
many people who are better than us.
I don't claim to be the best at it. I think I'm good. But I always think I can be better. But with that said,
we are marketable.
We're marketable. The reason that we're able to make a living off of what we do is because we're smart and we have good business sense and we know all of the different revenue streams that we could make some moolah off of.
I knew you were going to say moolah.
Moolah.
So with that being said,
this whole podcast is going to be Chris being serious and me being not serious.
So she's laughing like this isn't a serious conversation. So, where was I going with this? I wanted to chat.
I don't know.
Well, no, because it's not an easy conversation because a lot of people are not going to understand because they're just not in it. So number one...
Well, and it's not a traditional job.
No, it's not a traditional job. And no one ever really talks about it in the sense of it that it is like a possible career. Like you kind of hear about it. You see some successful people on television. You follow some successful people. But like it's rare that somebody in your like current network or group might be successful in it. And if they are, definitely utilize that to your advantage so you can like ask them questions and tap into it and use that as inspiration to get you to that stage where you can pursue it as a career. But most of the time and in most situations, people's families, most people don't pursue this as a career or think it's even a career choice. And there's nobody in your life that you can relate to that is doing it full time.
Yeah, because there aren't a lot of people that do this.
No.
Well, mainly because of all of the things that you just mentioned. Because they don't know anyone else who does it, because they don't see very many people succeeding at it, because you think it's 1% or less than 1% of the population that actually is successful at it. And those things are partially true, but I think it's wrong to discourage yourself from going after it because of those things.
Yeah. So I made a video a while back where I talked about how to tell your parents that you want to pursue a life of creativity or to be a photographer. And two of the points I touched on was number one, there's like this general idea that people have that you just can't make a living. Like it's almost like common knowledge is that you can't do it. And part of the reason why is that there's such a low barrier of entry for this job. Like if you want to be a videographer, all you need to do is go out and buy a camera and a 50mm lens. So your barrier entry cost is like $1,000, Whereas if you want to be a lawyer or a doctor, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars of schooling and getting like education and getting approved by some sort of board, and then eventually you're doing it in years of practice.
Anyone can give themselves that title, but not as many people deserve it. That's the only thing.
So with that being said, because the barrier of entry is so low, there's more people who are going to get into it. And because there's more people who can get into it, there's going to be more failures based purely on a numbers standpoint. So with that in mind, yes, the common knowledge is that you can't be successful at it. But if you really study the successful people, it sounds like I'm drunk. I've had 2 sips of wine.
No, this will be fun even if we do get a little bit.
Yeah. But even if you study the successful groups of people, you realize there actually is a lot of opportunity in this, especially if you dedicate your life and you're good at it and you treat it seriously as if you were a doctor in terms of being a videographer. Like you put in the time, you've invested in the right areas, you treat it like a serious career. There's 100% a chance to do this for a living.
I think a lot of people just make excuses about like pursuing videography, photography, or a YouTube career or whatever as a job. But also in most of their life. Like, oh, it's too hard. Oh, I need a camera. Oh, I don't know anyone. Do you really make money off that? They don't actually put any time or resources into it.
Yeah.
Or they don't jump into it full force. They just like dip a toe in. They like put one video out on YouTube.
Yeah.
Or make one video one time and they're like, look what I did. Start calling themselves a filmmaker, never make anything again and go, it was too hard.
Yeah. Or you're like, your parents grew up with one person that was not successful in the field and they're like, well, Jimmy did it. And he, nope.
Yeah.
He didn't do it.
That's the best. I've heard that so many times. It's like when you tell people, this is the best. Chris and I go, we run our own video production company. This is before even YouTube or anything. Like I still can't tell people that we're YouTubers, but
I love it.
Oh, I can't. But anyways, we would go up to people and be like, we run our own video production company. Like, oh, that's really great. You know, my nephew Jimmy has a Canon. I don't know what type it is, but he makes some videos too. Have you ever heard of Windows Movie Maker? Yeah. He uses that a lot. Do you use that? And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's hard because people don't treat it seriously until you have success. Like the moment, like...
And then when you drop stuff like, our condo that we bought, they go, oh. Like, it's so obvious. They think, oh, that's cute. You must live in your mom's basement. Oh, video. That's so adorable.
Yeah, so that's tough. It's you're constantly, like, not only are you fighting, like, an inner battle with yourself, being like, should I do this? You're also fighting an outer battle with all these people that don't understand it. So part of the job with even wanting to pursue this is just educating people on the fact that it's actually a tangible career. And it sucks because you're constantly faced with it. Like, even strangers... on the internet will be like, oh, he's a videographer. Like they'll think of you and put you in a box right away.
Or some people online think that we make so much money. They think that we just get like showered in money and we're super rich and spoiled, which I also find hilarious.
Yeah, you would not have a cleanly shower if you showered in money, by the way.
Listen, if I was that rich, you really think that I would be like just chilling, like stressing myself out every week to put up a video for your sorry ass?
Wow. That's what you
I'm
think.
just kidding.
No, Lizzie loves you guys.
But I would be doing, I meant the one negative person.
Oh.
I meant the one person that said I was a rich, spoiled kid.
Oh, that guy's a jerk.
Yeah.
Or girl.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But I would obviously be driving around in a freaking Lamborghini, not Chris's 98 Mercedes that scares me. And I'm not.
It's a tangible career. It's good. You can make good money if you're smart with it. And you can still choose to drive your 98 Mercedes if you would like. On that note, getting back to the fact that you have to deal with people, is there anybody in your life, family member or friend, where you had to have that conversation where you're like, I want to do this, and how did that go, and what were their initial thoughts on it? What was it like telling your parents you wanted to go to radio and television arts for school?
Well, my mom was the one that brought up the program to me. So I didn't know about it. My mom definitely understood that I was always in the arts. I was always, I thought I was going to go to school for music. And so originally she was pushing me like in grade 10 and 11 to talk to my music teacher and to start thinking about what schools I was going to go to. And then I finally said, no, I don't think that's what I want to do because I don't want people to tell me how to play my instrument or how to do that. That's personal.
Yeah.
And I was really interested in media production, and I loved editing and photography. So I thought that I would go into something like that. And then when my mom brought up this program and it was a really well-known program, then I thought I really wanted to go to a prestigious school. It was important for me personally to get into a really good program and a really good school. So when I heard that there was all this like notoriety around that, I was like, that is for me. I want this. And my dad, despite all my interests, still didn't really get it. He really wanted me to go to Western, which was another university that was more business related. And I got in. I just didn't choose
You didn't want that.
No, and I think he was disappointed. I don't know. Yeah, he really didn't understand. Despite, like, the man watched so much television, but he not.
He loved media.
Loved television.
Obsessive.
Does not understand what happens behind the scenes at all. Like, he thinks it's just one person there with a camera. Like, he doesn't think it's challenging.
Yeah.
He thinks it's not difficult to do. He doesn't see value in it. He doesn't see...
So I think that's like a big common theme is like empathy.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't empathize with how hard something is. Like maybe they like
in this industry, you mean?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, in any industry, but like specifically video production, because someone's like, oh, I have an iPhone and I just shoot videos and like I can point and like make it. But then you're like, no, what about lighting, composition, story, editing, like acting, finding locations, like all this stuff that requires time, efficiency, expertise. Just like anything, just like if you were in the fashion industry, just if you wanted to be a good lawyer, just if you want to be a good doctor, you know what I mean? I can pick up some utensils and cut something if I wanted to, but I'm not a doctor.
I'm not a doctor.
You know what I mean? So I think empathy is a big thing where like a lot of people don't empathize with like the creative person as much. And I think people know. And
I think it's like airy-fairy and not hard. And
that's the hard part. Is that it just in general, people don't value it. Even as a society, like we just look at like even the way that, like we expect so much content for free in general. And they're like, oh, I get it for free. So that means like there must not be a monetary exchange. So scrap all that mentality and this like general knowledge aside.
Yeah.
If you are strategic with it and you're good and you're of quality talent, 100% you will be successful in this industry and you network properly. So it's not easy. I think one of the things that like, from my perspective is like, and the other side of it too is like, you'll talk with friends and then if they don't get it, then you'll just find another group of friends to relate to. And you'll, by being a creative, and having these conversations, you'll be able to relate to other creatives who are going through the same struggles and you'll find your own bubble of support and a network. And I think that's a great thing too.
Now that we stop bitching a little bit, we'll just say a piece of advice would be to surround yourself with people who do. Find the people that do, and that do get it, I mean.
Yep.
And they're probably also YouTubers, or they're probably also photographers and videographers. But that's also good, for your craft to network with those people, because you'll improve, and you'll make friends that understand. You can still keep your other friends, but they're not your real friends if they don't at least respect your decision to do this as a career or as a hobby.
Yep. And I mean, kind of going back here, and this is just something I was thinking about in terms of like another analogy in anything in life. You could be a baker and you could have a small bake shop and you're just like, you make a few brownies or something like that. But then at the same time, your brownies could be really, really good and you bring them to like mass market and you make millions of dollars. So it's the same thing as building a business and being an entrepreneur and freelance. You can do what you do and bring it to scale and you could make an absolute killing off of it. Yeah. Right? It's just people always think of it as being like, oh, well, if relating it back to the brownies, it's like, oh, that's cute. You make brownies.
You make really good brownies.
They're good. But like, are you making a living with those brownies? And like, I know somebody that owned 2-bite brownies and they own like a $5 million cottage in like Barrie, Ontario.
Because those brownies, that's a whole marketing plan involved in 2-bite brownies.
Yeah.
It's a little itty bitty brownie. It's a 2-bite brownie.
But they were super smart with it.
They were really good 2-bite brownies.
This is some free marketing for that 2-bite brownie. I'm kind of on dessert now. Saying no, going back to our podcast. No desserts. So
we're back.
Why I keep bringing up so many examples is because I think it's important to understand that despite all the negative energy around being like, oh, you're a creative, or like, oh, you want to pursue music, or you want to be a videographer, or you want to be a YouTuber, you want to own a business. I don't like, why is everyone so condescending? Like, how many people, like, I think I can count on my hand the amount of people that were supportive previous to our success.
You know what I also find really funny? But this is, people are going to judge me for saying this, but everyone always asks how much money we make.
Yeah. I think I've told a handful of people, and then it just makes them feel weird.
Yeah, but you would never ask someone else that. You would never ask anyone else who did any other job.
You would never ask a doctor.
You would never be like,
hey,
you make any money off that? Or like, how much do you make doing that?
Yeah.
How do you get, and I understand on the one hand that they don't, and I mean, it's like probably someone who's a bit older and doesn't understand social media. They're genuinely curious.
Yeah.
But I also think it's super inappropriate to ask somebody how much they make.
Yeah. So not only are you facing the negativity, but you're facing these just awkward conversations. Because I think it really is rooted in other people's insecurity. Because I think most people in the world want to pursue some sort of creative endeavor, even if it's not like as a business or as like full time.
And it always turns into me feeling like I'm defending myself.
Yeah. No,
because
I get it.
It's either they think that, if I do tell them a dollar amount, then sometimes they feel threatened by that because it seems like a lot of money, or they don't understand the scale of it if that one particular item I'm making money off of is a smaller number, but they don't understand the quantity in which I am receiving that.
Yeah.
And so then I'm justifying it.
Yeah.
Or then I feel like I'm proving why there's value in that particular thing that was expensive to them. And it's just it's so uncomfortable. And so there is a lot, I mean, I guess what we're trying to say by having a little bitch fest again is that you have to be patient with people, and you have to stand your ground.
So true. You have to be patient with people.
And you will have to explain what you do to a lot of people. And it will be frustrating.
Multiple times.
A lot of times.
Because like you'll literally explain it in full detail, and then they'll literally go,
that happened.
I don't understand. Can you say it again? It happened. It happened to Lizzie and I couldn't believe it.
An hour explaining to this woman how we make money. 1 hour, and then at the
to
very
a single
end,
human.
To a single human. And then at the end, she went all the way back to the first question she asked at the beginning, and I was like, this is how I die.
Oh yeah. And that's it. It's just like, but
and please don't get mad at us for saying this, because it is frustrating, but like we do understand that they genuinely don't get it. But it still feels invasive, though, when they ask specifically how much money we make.
No one else talks about someone else's career. Like somebody else could be like,
and they'll single you out at like a table with everyone you know.
And then you're just like, defense. Yeah. And then it just feels like you're constantly fighting. So yes, I'm sorry that a bit of the podcast.
Maybe we should just like talk about some advice now.
So for us, number one, I mean, the advice side of it is knowing that you are going to have to be a bit of like a pioneer and going and digging through the trenches yourself and being like, okay, I have to go and do this. I'm a bit on my own journey here. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to have to defend yourself in a lot of situations. But at the same time, you're going to attract the right group of people through doing that. And it's not going to be like, it's never going to be easy, but the reward on the opposite side of it is that you have a life where you feel like you have purpose. You're doing things that you enjoy more often, at least, and you've found a way to monetize what you love, which is amazing.
Yeah, it just comes back to how do you want to live your life? How do you want to live your life, and what is going to make you happy? And that's really all that matters at the end of the day. What's going to make it easier is, as we mentioned, being patient, being determined, focused, but most importantly, surrounding yourself with people that do understand.
Yeah.
And if someone in your friend group is hypercritical of what you're doing and making fun of you and being like, oh, you're going to go take some Instagram photos, then maybe that's a person you shouldn't be spending as much time with, because you wouldn't do that to them. And it's either rooted in jealousy or it's insecurity.
Yeah.
And anytime you have any kind of success, they are also probably not going to be the person that's going to be supportive of you through that. Like one of my best friends I've been friends with since I was, 6. And we grew up in different grades. We went to all the same schools except for university. We're very different, but in a lot of ways, we're very similar.
Yep.
And we have only remained friends because we are accepting of each other and our lives and how we are different.
There's no judgment.
No, we don't judge each other for anything, but we support each other in everything. And even when the other one did something that was like probably not the smartest, we would just say something like, okay, well, you know you shouldn't have done that, right? And she's like, yeah, I know. And I said, well, and if you need help, you can always call me.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing when I tell her about stuff that's going on with me in YouTube. Like, she doesn't really get it, but because she doesn't watch it, which I totally understand. But if I say, oh, I'm doing a collaboration with like my friend and she's a big YouTuber, I'm so excited. Like the video is so good.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to do really well. She's like, that's awesome. That's so good. Or I'm like, oh, I did this, we just got this project for the business and it pays really well. She's like, that's awesome. Same thing with her when she gets promotion, when she, when she gets a raise, when she just got her dream job. I'm super proud of her too. I would butcher her job description.
Yeah.
But
you're supportive.
I'm supportive, and I can tell other people like, oh, my friend does that. And she does the same. Like when she has a friend that does YouTube, she's like, oh, my best friend does that. You should watch her videos. Yeah. And that's the only reason why we stay friends.
Yeah. I mean, it goes both ways. Like at the same time as someone can be condescending to our jobs, we should never be condescending to someone else's jobs.
Yeah.
You should never be like, oh, this.
Yeah.
And it goes, so like at the same time, it's respect in general. So like, if you want to command respect, you have to respect other people.
Yes.
So that it's a two-way street in terms of that.
Don't insult someone else's job because they're insulting yours. Like, stay classy, guys. Stay classy.
No, 100%. That's great. As cheesy as it sounds, being like, stay classy.
Glen Coco.
No, it is true. So,
can we talk about? We touched on it a little bit, but family, when family doesn't get it, because you could get rid of friends, but you can't really get rid of your family, though.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I mean, I feel like my side of what I value-wise is, actually, no.
Your family, your families and your parents, so supportive.
Very supportive, but I remember at the time when I was picking a school to go to, I know that there was a touch of insecurity that came from my mom's side and probably even my dad too. I remember having conversations and they'd be like,
just more secure.
You want to go to radio and television arts? What's a job? And then you're like, I could be a cameraman. And they're like, a cameraman like on David Letterman or something like that? Be like, yeah, but they make like 70, 80, 100,000, maybe more per year. They're like, oh, wait, you sure? And it's like this, and it's like, so part of it is like you have to educate yourself with your family together. So going back to that video that I made, I talked a lot about research. Do research in the field. Like, don't just look up how much does a cameraman make on David Letterman. Like, go to these places, see if there's an ability to go and contact them. In most cases, these people have freelance websites.
Yeah.
So if you find a videographer, look in the credits of anything that's ever really made, you can usually find a name. So let's say it's a commercial that you saw. You see the commercial, or let's say it's a film, a movie.
Yeah.
There's a local movie. You research the name online. That person might have a website. You email that website and just be like, hey, I'm a student, or I'm thinking about going to school for this. Just out of curiosity, do you have a second for a quick phone call, and or might I ask you a few questions here? In most cases, those people might email you back. And I would recommend you email 10 people so that at least you land one. So in that case, you have the chance to do some research and have a one-on-one conversation with somebody.
Yeah.
And maybe some of those people will be very positive and be like, this is how much I make. It's great. And at the same time, you'll always find pessimists in every industry. So take everything that you get with a grain of salt, because certain people might be working in the job and be a videographer, but the situation that they're in might, put them in a negative mindset. So make sure that you have a diverse research portfolio to make an educated decision on if this is something you want to pursue or not.
Yeah.
And then use that information with your family so that you can talk about it and be like, all right, I think I'm the type of person that could be successful in this space. And here are the reasons why, and here are the case studies that have done well. So I think always making a business case about the career and the choice that you want to make will lead to having a successful career in that industry, if that makes sense.
No, it's a good idea if you really need to justify it to your parents. I mean, luckily...
Even to yourself.
And to yourself. Or to anybody else in your family or friends or whatever. But I didn't really have to do that much research. My mom's friend's brother went to that program. Then he ended up teaching one of the classes in our program.
Yeah.
And I ended up meeting him for coffee because my mom said, "Oh, Jim does that program.
It's huge,
he was in that program."
You had
and
like
I met
a
him for
one-on-one
coffee.
experience.
I got a one-on-one with him, but it was more. He was almost interviewing me to see what my interests were and if I was going to like the program.
Because that's what adults do.
That's what adults do. And he said, "Oh yeah, I think this program would be really good for her." And he said, "I'll help you with your essay and I'll be your reference."
Amazing.
And so that was really helpful. I think that was a big part of me getting in because my average was good. It was really good, but for that program, it was super competitive. So I know that must have helped a lot. Yeah. But otherwise, I didn't know what a video producer was. I just knew they were in charge and I wanted to be in charge.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. Like, I grew up knowing I just had this belief in myself because my dad was always the type of person that was like, "Oh, you got a 99, where'd the 1% go? Why weren't you the best?
Yeah,
you
he was
need
a
to be
hard
the
ass.
best." And so I thought, well, I'll just work harder and I'll just be that. It's just how much effort I put in. I knew I wasn't the smartest person naturally, but I knew if I put in more effort, then I would get further because of that.
Didn't you win an award?
Okay, so I'm really bad at basketball, guys, but I really wanted to join the basketball team in elementary school, so I did. And when they gave out awards, everyone got an award. But my award was most determined.
Oh my God, that's
it's basically
amazing.
like, you suck, but you tried
You tried the hardest.
hard. And honestly, okay, so I can't change like my body and I can't change how strong or fast or how good I am at basketball. Practice would make me better. But I'm not gifted at the sport. So I stuck to what I was good at, which is this. Here I am.
Sweet.
So
I didn't really finish my train of thought when I was talking. I kind of jumped into like, no, it's okay. I didn't finish where we were going. So like, my parents they've always been supportive, and they're like, you should pursue music if this is what you want. Like, figure it out. Hopefully, it all works out. Because I came from a family where we had a lot of like family deaths, if I'm being just brutally honest. And so those things kind of change your perception on life. And it's just like, if this is what you want to do, then you go and do it because life is short. Yeah. So that's a big part of it. If I'm just being like, you're the first to hear it here on the podcast. I haven't really talked about this on any other platform. So that's always been a big motivator. Additionally, your parents are always looking out and have the best interest for you. Mm-hmm. And I think because my mom didn't know much about this industry, and my dad had some friends that kind of worked in it, my dad's opinion was like, he pursued a career where he followed the money, and it built a lifestyle for him that was supportive and he liked it. But like anything, it's always going to be a grind. And he always said like, he's like, I pursued the money. I think it's important that you pursue something that you love.
Yeah.
My mom was like, I think you should get a diverse education and then you can make a decision after the fact, versus me wanting to have like a targeted education right away. So she wanted me to go to the University of Toronto and get some sort of general arts, like a BA
Can't do
or
anything
Bachelor
with
of Arts.
Those, really.
Yes and no.
Well, you definitely can. No offense. Sorry, guys, if you have that. But from what I've heard of my friends that got something like that, they've had trouble.
Yeah. So like and that again was the general knowledge. So, but I kind of knew deep down that I was like, I had a lot of my mentors and the people I looked up to at the time were like audio engineers and musicians and some video stuff. And I kind of was into YouTube, but not really. And I was like, I like this.
I thought I was going to be a traditional TV producer.
Yeah. Well, even in high school, I was like really good at CommTech, communications technologies.
What did they teach you in that class?
It was the best class ever. You would make videos all the time.
Oh, that sounds like my media product. It was like media production or something like that.
Yeah, communications, technology. So we'd make videos
marketing,
and
make videos,
audio and all this stuff, and learn how to solder wires and cold cables and stuff like that. All this stuff. It was actually really, really great.
Soldered things?
Yeah, I mean, we were really close with our CommTech teachers, which was really cool. So anyways, we made animations. I made these stupid things of like little German people running around in lederhosen, just stupid stuff. But like I learned it. Like I even look back now, I'm like, I don't know how to make animation, but I did it. So I was good at it, and I enjoyed it. And I, when you receive good grades, it kind of says, okay, this is something that's like worthwhile. And then teachers would be like, you should potentially do this. And I loved like tech class and shop and things like that. Like those were the things, although, I just loved it. So I was like, I want to do more of this. And then I remember one of my teachers telling me at the time, she's like, what are you thinking about going to school for? It was my drama teacher specifically, Miss Pasquarello.
Shout out. Miss P.
Miss P.
What up?
Thank you, Miss P. I still remember those days. So at that time, I remember she was like, what do you want to do? And I had the grades to go and pursue like engineering and architecture and all these things.
So smart. Oh my God.
No. I just like anything. I just wanted to work hard, and I tried my best in all the classes. And I was
pretty much only good at like music, theater, and then media. The end.
Yeah, I loved math, and I love physics. I still love that stuff now, and I knew that I wouldn't be happy doing it.
Yeah.
So like it was like a tone where she'd be like, "So what are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, I'm pursuing, architecture. I'm trying to build a portfolio, and I'm also trying to like do some engineering stuff. But like, if I'm being honest, I really would love to do music and audio production. I just don't think my parents would be that into it." She's like, "Why not?" She's like, literally someone from our school is a massive musician. I couldn't remember who it was. And I was like, really? She was like, yeah, they built a career around it and they did it and they're doing well. And not everything's about money. You know what I mean? And I was like, bah. Miss P dropping truth bombs over here.
Bombs. I mean, yeah, drama teacher. Yeah.
Either she was just being hella dramatic.
Probably. Oh my God. Probably super fulfilling to be a drama teacher. That would be so fun.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. So that always stuck with me. I appreciate it because it was like the only person that like really came and was like, no, like you can do this. Because most of the time people are already having passive conversations enough in society.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of you are already experiencing this. Hey, how's it been? It's cool, man. It's cool. Raptors won. Yeah, bro. You're going to the club. It's like all these just like.
No offense, Raptors are awesome.
I love the Raptors and it's cool. And it's like brought our community together, that aside.
But yeah, that's like a thing that a lot of people
just have nothing conversations. That's what I call them. It's just like they just kind of like are there.
Yeah.
But like no one's really like, a lot of people are also afraid of just like going against the grain and swimming upstream in general.
Yeah.
So like it's human nature to just have like the path of least resistance because meaningful conversations generally are harder to have. Yeah. So the moment you have a conversation with someone and they contradict or they spark some sort of interest in like actually listening to you, and then they're like, no, what about this?
Yeah.
And then the context is important. The person who's saying it holds a lot of weight too. I
don't think my mom did point out that program to me, but she did not think I was going to get in. I don't think my dad thought I was going to get in. I think my dad was just like, she'll get in somewhere. It'll be fine. And then even my guidance counselor said, that's a really competitive program. Are you sure it's worth your time to apply? You should definitely apply to a few other schools. Okay. And I was like, 2
points. 1, bitch.
Yeah. Yeah. 2, I couldn't believe she actually said that to me.
I can't believe she said that.
Because she judged me.
Horrible guidance counselor.
She didn't know me and she was judging me on my grades like from, I think, late grade 10. And I was like being heavily bullied at the time. So there was that. Out. So yeah, I wish I went and shoved it right in their face.
How funny is it when you like look back on a situation that it's always that voice like, I don't really know.
Yeah.
That's how it like lives in your head.
I remember. Really? And I was like, I couldn't believe she said that to me because it was like the first time I'd ever met up with the guidance counselor to talk about. I was like, this is the thing you're supposed to do for university. So, and I couldn't believe, what I was faced with. In university, we had I guess she's not really our guidance counselor, Donna. I consider
she was just a role model in our industry.
She was kind of like
representative for the school and for
and you would reorganize your classes with her and everything. But she was amazing. Yeah, so it really, when I think back, I'm pretty proud of myself because really I don't remember anyone saying, like really thinking I was going to get in or encouraging me. I just tried hard. That's the nature of it.
Because like people have this idea of like they don't really want to like fully explore what would be best for you.
Yeah.
They have this idea of like this is what makes money and this is what does well.
Yeah.
Right? So like you should just try to fit into that.
People are looking after themselves. Like, as sad as that is to say, like, people want you to do well, but they're really only looking after themselves, and they're concentrated on their own lives, other than your parents and some of your closest friends.
So you already have to be your biggest supporter.
You do. You have to do all of this
to be the one that's
for yourself, because no one is going to do it for you, and no one is going to coddle you, and that's life. And so that comes with, fighting past people who don't, when you're confronted with someone who is telling you, I don't think you can do it. Yeah. And people who don't understand what you do and who are questioning it and all of that kind of stuff.
And people will talk behind your back and they'll be like, oh, yeah, Chris is pursuing music or like, and all this stuff. And that stuff's happening and it sucks. So I want to bring up two, or at least one moment that stood out for me. That really was like, as cheesy as it sounds, for me at least, it felt like an awakening experience where it's like, I felt like I was always like a passenger in my life. And we were talking about this in the previous podcast, but it's like, I literally always felt I was like, oh, I'll just hang out in the passenger seat. Someone else is driving. I don't really have to think too much about it.
When did you think that about yourself?
When I was like 16.
That's when parents have a lot of,
Well, and it's finally in the position of your life when it's like, okay, I can kind of make decisions now. Like I've decided, okay, I can buy this. I have some financial freedom. And now you're like at school. Like I remember, I think maybe it was 16, 17, but I remember going downtown to a Macklemore concert. I was on the bus. And then I went to the concert and I was obsessed with him. Like I was studying him and I loved his music so much. His like first EP was out. Like it wasn't even like, he wasn't big like how we know Macklemore now. And I sound like so pretentious, but I just was a really big fan of like his underground music at the time. So I remember he was like doing this one song. I knew all the lyrics and I was in the front. He saw me. He knew that I was rapping it. And he pulled me up on stage and we sang his last song together in Toronto. I remember that was like this crazy moment. And I got to chat with him and his trumpeter. I remember asking his like trumpeter at the time, I was like, what's one book that, changed your life and made you want to like, what's one book? I was just kind of just interested in hearing his thought process. And I think Macklemore and the trumpeter both said like, oh, The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. And so I bought the book. It's like massive. Went to Chapters or like whatever the bookstore was in Canada, like when I would still buy things and not on Amazon. I would go there and I like read this book on the bus every single day. And for me, it was the first time I like had this like awakening experience where I was like, no, I can be an artist for the rest of my life if I want to. I can pursue a creative field. It wasn't like this like business book.
Was it the book that made you think that, or was it the experience of being like pulled up on stage and feeling like special?
All of it. I think it's the whole thing. I think it's like I respected him so much, and then I saw that he was successful, and then I had this like intimate moment where like we talked one-on-one, and then he said like, this is what changed my life and what opened everything up for me. And then I was like, maybe I was so like primed that the time I read that book, it was like, no, I can do this. Mm-hmm. And it was just like a confident, like, okay, I'm the driver of my entire life now. Yeah. No one else is going to tell me what to do.
Yeah.
And then because of that experience, I think that was like such a pivotal turning point for me where it felt like I was like, no, I want to be a creative. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't a business book. It was literally a book being like, you can be an artist. It's called The Artist's Way. You can do this. So like fundamentally, like, yes, there's always a business case. We talk a lot about business on the course, but like, I was like, no, I want to have meaningful impact as an artist on this planet and have my voice be heard in whatever format that is, whether it's YouTube, music, multimedia in general, whatever the hell it is. And that was like such a confidence boost for me. And then from there, I learned how to package it from a business perspective.
I think what a lot of people look for is some kind of direct sign that they're supposed to be doing something.
Yeah.
They're like almost like acceptance into a school or like a job is a secure way of being like, oh, I can be this because someone awarded me this. But the thing about being a creative or trying to be a YouTuber, trying to be a famous musician, an actress, you have to have this blind almost hope and belief in yourself that you can work that hard and be good enough to succeed in it. And it's funny because if I think back to when I was really little, when I was super little, I was like, I'm going to be an actress and a singer, famous one.
Yeah.
Like at the time I loved Hilary Duff. I'm like, I'm going to be just like Hilary Duff, like Lizzie McGuire, and I'm going to have my own show because my name's Lizzie too. But I just believed in that.
You have your own channel.
I technically do now. But I don't know. And there was nothing really that, like, my parents weren't overly encouraging or whatever. My dad was kind of like, you want to do that? Okay. And then
Which is sometimes enough.
And he would force me to do things that I was uncomfortable with, which which maybe played a part. Like, he had me do my boating license when I was 10. Actually younger, I think. I took flying lessons when I was 10. Like, who does that? I don't know. Like, it wasn't my dad that taught me. It was someone. He paid for me to have lessons.
But he chose to do that, which is still huge.
The youngest person in Canada at the time taking lessons.
Put that on your Twitter bio.
Yeah, maybe I should. And I think it was all those things that made me think, okay, why can't I do that? So there wasn't a full, there's never a for sure sign. You're just kind of going with, you have to believe in yourself. It's cheesy. Oh my God, that's so cheesy.
I know. And like, just going back, because I know it sounds like it's like, oh, Chris got pulled up by Macklemore on the stage, but I still needed I still needed enough momentum to even put myself in that position.
You still asked him the question about the book. Like, I'd just be like, oh my God, you're so cool.
No, it's like, it just took that opportunity. So it's not the book that like will change your life. It's not these moments that will change your life. It's like every day is just constantly believing in yourself. And never giving up. Like someone else said it to me. It's like everyone's going to start the race. Let's say there's a hurdle race. And everyone's going to start a turtle race.
A hurdle?
A hurdle.
Hurdle?
You're not hurdling over turtles.
Yeah, but it's a turtle hurdle.
That just doesn't sound challenging at all.
We just really like saying the word turtle. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, Lizzie sometimes burps and she does these like things where she bites and it sounds like a turtle burp.
Says
like,
I do this. I don't believe that I do it. And
I'm sorry for anyone listening on their car.
He says it's like a snapping turtle, so he calls them turtle burps.
Whatever, it's dumb. Going back to what we're talking about.
No,
Everyone
this is
starts
what the people
turtle
want.
hurdle at the same time.
They want the real life us. Here it is.
Beautiful. So everyone starts this race at the same time. It's all the hurdles and everyone's always going to try to take the path of least resistance, and people will hit a hurdle, and some people around you will fall, and you'll fall, and then some people will give up, and then you keep going. And the whole idea is that you're going to constantly keep hitting hurdles. You may fall, but if you keep getting up and keep pushing it, you will be successful. You have to be the one that picks you up because no one else is picking you up off the race.
Failing isn't succeeding. People always say like, oh, you have to fail. Failure is the best. I'm like, well, the failure kind of sucks, but it's what happens after that
You're
actually
only
matters.
Successful
if you keep going, if you actually learn something from that and apply it to something else in your life, then you made that failure worthwhile. Otherwise, failure itself blows.
Yep.
Let's not, make that into something great. It's hard. I feel like people want to be rewarded now for failing. Does that make sense? But
you've only ever really failed if you've given up.
If you've given up or you didn't try at all.
Yeah.
I agree with all of that. There was something that made me laugh before that I wanted to bring up, and now I don't remember.
I'm really enjoying this podcast.
I think it's the wine, personally.
No, I've had like half a glass.
Same, but I don't know.
Okay. Anyways, so what would be your final thoughts for everybody here? It's not going to be easy. So let's get that out of the way. It's not going to be easy having those conversations, wanting to pursue it in general, but the other side of it is that you'll find the group of people that are supposed to be in your life
and go out and look for them actively.
Actively look for them and have those conversations so that you can weed them out and find the right ones, or filter is the better word, to filter the right people that should be in your life and are supportive.
You can find people who, people kind of tend to stay glued to high school friends or friends you've known from before. Like, you don't have to do that.
Clinging to comfort, it's easy.
You don't have to do that. Find a group that gets it, in whether it's online or whatever. Oh, I remembered what I was going to say. Can we just cut this? There's something I really wanted to
Well, so going off the line that Lizzie talked about, I did an Instagram post a couple of weeks ago where I talked about like a lot of people just feel alone in this space. And they feel like they don't have people to go out and shoot with or create with. You guys either can go back to that post and see if there's anybody in your area, but like actively look for it. Join Facebook groups, find Instagram hashtags that kind of put you in a group. Become digital friends and then become real world friends. It's not that hard to cultivate relationships in a day and age where literally finding friendships is so easy. It's just that you have to use the tools to develop those friendships and have them in your life, and then use that support system and have those conversations actively with those people so that you have the fire and the excitement and the energy to go and pursue this, because like an entrepreneur and like a creative, it's always going to be tough, but it's going to be amazing if you push through. It's always worth it.
I remember what I was going to say.
What?
There is
I said that's so aggressive.
a show. There's a show on Netflix called The Creative Brain.
I haven't watched it yet. I need to watch it.
You need to watch it. It's really good. It basically talks about how what makes creatives creative. It's like the science behind it, essentially. But a really cool thing that they brought up is that your brain takes up about 20% of your body's energy.
Yeah.
Pretty sure that's right. And so it, like every other part of your body, is programmed to conserve energy. And in order to do that in your brain, it's to take the path of least resistance in terms of thinking power. So we are attracted to more kind of monotonous, easy, mindless tasks like, I don't know, like building IKEA furniture, for example, or something like you do repeatedly. I don't know.
Just even like sitting on the couch and watching television.
Yeah, we want something routine that's
like
not challenging to do.
That you don't even care about because...
And thinking creatively is constantly stressing your brain for new ideas.
Yeah.
So
you're problem solving most
and people
of the time.
And when people don't really understand that actually takes a lot of effort and a lot of work, it's frustrating because you yourself know how much energy and how much thought goes into even just coming up with the idea for something.
Yeah. You can literally be physically exhausted after just thinking all day.
I'll tell Chris sometimes, I'm like, I'm so tired. He's like, you just sat here all day. And I'm like, you understand. I was really like, I was focused.
I was not judgy to you.
You've said that to me a few times. Don't even try. You have.
Fine.
You're like, what are you doing? You sat there.
I'm sorry I made you feel that way.
How are you so tired?
I don't
and
feel
I'm
like that now.
I'm mentally tired. And because I'm mentally tired, I feel physically tired.
Empathy.
Thank you for apologizing. And some days are like that. And I feel, and it's not just creatively. People experience that in their other jobs, in their office jobs as well. It's not necessarily physically tiring, but it's emotionally and mentally draining. So because of what other people think, don't undervalue what you do. Don't not do something because other people think that you can't. Tell them all to go to hell and do it anyways and find some friends that get it.
And be your own cheerleader.
And be your own cheerleader. Drop the mic. Walk out.
We can't drop the mic. They're attached to a boom arm.
Dropped it.
You didn't. Don't create an illusion for people. But yes, mic drop. Hypothetically.
Thank you guys for watching the podcast.
Watching?
Thank you guys for... Oh my God. I'm so tired. Thank you guys for listening to the podcast. We do this for fun, for you, and because we also like it. So please leave a review. That would be really nice.
It would mean a lot. We talked for 48 minutes and 11 seconds.
We're trying to make these an hour, but somehow we keep hitting this mark, and I'm sorry, we'll figure it out. Do you want more? What do you guys want more of?
We should have a question and answer period.
Ooh, do you want a Q&A? Do you want us to banter? What do you guys want?
If you guys download the Anchor app, I'm almost positive, correct me if I'm wrong, that there's a chance that you guys can leave a few questions. Also send us some questions on Twitter or DM us, and we will bring these up.
Yes.
On the next one.
Yes.
We can talk about it.
Or if you have any subject ideas for the podcast, also awesome. Let us know in the reviews.
We love you guys. Thank you so much for your time, your energy. I hope you're having an amazing day.
Thanks for choosing to listen to our voices. That's nice.
Love you.
Love you. Bye.